Hi guys, Easy Eddie here. Welcome to game number one in my journey towards becoming a 2200 rated USCF master. As you can see, I'm currently rated 2052, so I have to gain nearly 150 points to get there. So along this journey, hopefully we'll see some of the lessons I've learned, which may be of some help to somebody else making this journey. One of the problems you face is that you're often paired with somebody lower rated with you who would be happy to get a draw. And such is the situation around one of this tournament from September. White played well, and what you have to do, and this is what I did, is try to get asymmetrical pawns. The Scandinavian is not the only way to do it, but it's perhaps the simplest. So both sides have 4 versus 3 on opposite sides of the board, which means that now we have the opening, the middle game, and the end game to work with here to try to create complications to get a win. When you're black in such a situation, this is the best you can hope for. So white continues with solid play. It's going to take me some time to grind him down here. Here he plays bishop d2, attacking the queen. And as is customary, I make an escape square for the queen so it can retreat to c7 if some sort of a discovered attack happens. White continues with some more solid moves. Absolutely nothing wrong with what he's doing. But here he takes time out for a housekeeping move. It's not a bad move. He doesn't want to get checkmated on the back rank, but I expected something like rook e1. So what I've learned is that part of being patient means that if white makes a housekeeping move, then it's okay for you to make a housekeeping move with black. And so my housekeeping move here is to get the queen out of this dangerous diagonal. And I continue to fight for this e5 square, which is, I think, very important in the Scandinavian. So white continues with solid play. And I continue to fight for the e5 square. White takes time out to protect his loose bishop. I castle, and white continues to fight for e5. Here I played a6 because in the event that knight e5 happens, I'd like to be able to play c5, but I can't do that if knight b5 is a possibility. So we take time out to make sure that knight b5 can't happen later. White continues with a perfectly reasonable developing move. I bring my rook into the game. And now white has to come up with his own plan. And he decides to go for the 2 bishops, which is not unreasonable. I really have no choice, so I allow the trade to happen. And now he comes up with a nasty pin. So you stay patient, you stay flexible with black in such situations, and you play defense if you have to. Remember, you don't have to win the game right away. You just have to stay in the game and wait for your chance and be patient. We can win the end game if nothing else happens. So white would like to trade some pieces, and I oblige him. Here I was somewhat surprised. I thought he might play queen back to f3 and try to work up an attack, but instead he goes to simplification, which is fairly common. He wouldn't mind a draw, but here comes up an interesting idea, h4. And it's possible that white may follow up with c3 and bishop c2 and h5. And he has the makings of an attack. So it's time for me to play some defense, and I start with the move f5, which sort of blunts the diagonal that he might put his bishop on. White gets his queen out of danger. And here I decided it's time to shore up my kingside defenses. I mean, h4, h5 might happen, so we have to be able to play rook h8. White continues with a good idea. He might play king g2 and rook h1. And so I shore up my kingside defenses. Notice we're being very patient here. I mean, there are plenty of pieces on the board here, especially queens, okay? As long as that's true, you just have to hang out and be patient, be flexible, and hope that at some point white makes a mistake. And if all else fails, you can win the endgame by virtue of unbalanced pawns. White continues with king g2 to follow up with his rook h1 plan. So what I noticed is that I noticed two things here. He's probably going to play h4, h5 someday. And after some checks, maybe at some point this g5 square might be open for a queen check. Also, I'm concerned about the queen going to c3 and applying checks this way. So for all these reasons, a redeployment of the bishop to f6 seems to be called for here. And so I played the move. The computer seems to be happy with this. White continues his plan, and now I play this to make sure that no nasty surprises happen to me on the a1, h8 diagonal. So white plays a move that I was happy to see, which means that I don't have to worry about queen c3 later. And so I bring my inactive rook into the game. So I haven't done anything remarkable here. You just sort of hang out and be patient. And believe it or not, the game is over in only 5 more moves, because this is what you wait for. White makes a solid move, and I decided to go for it now. We're launching a minority style attack. I can get b4 in maybe and start to undermine his pawn structure. And white makes his first inaccuracy, which is that he plays a4 rather than a3. a3 perhaps would have been better, because here I'm able to just go right on by, and maybe this will be a weakness someday too. White follows up a rook c1, and I came up with a pretty good move here. I visualized until the end of the game, and I played queen b6, which first of all gets the queen off of the rook file, and it applies pressure to this point, and it applies pressure to b3. So this is what often happens. White is playing a higher rated player, and he's eager to simplify the situation, so he makes some mistakes here. He plays pawn takes pawn, and after queen takes pawn, it's actually hard for white to find a move here. He can't play, for example, bishop to c2 because the b2 pawn will drop. And he can't play bishop to a2 because I have a choice of taking on b2 or taking on a2. Meanwhile, I'm putting a lot of pressure on d4. It looks like this pawn's going to drop really soon. So he makes a mistake, and after queen takes a1, white resigned the game. This is like fairly typical, and what I did was I just sort of stayed flexible. I kept applying steady pressure, and white made a mistake. What white had to do is something like rook e2 instead, but even here it says that the computer will say that black has an advantage. Certainly this pawn is going to drop, and black is just simply better in the final position. But he made it easy for me by making this mistake, and after queen takes e1, which is very often what happens, white resigned. Well, anyway, thanks for tuning in for my first game in this journey, and as more games come in, I'll be happy to post them as they come along. Thanks for coming, and I hope you have a great day. Take care. Bye.